now, so I'm recording it now. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. I am glad you're here. This is exciting for me because this is what I do best. So I am thrilled to be able to show you what I've done in the past to help large sales teams, hundreds of agents make 6- and 7-figure incomes. Not everybody did, but if you wanted to be on my team, you had to commit to at least a 6-figure income. And then, see, it's one thing to say, I'm going to come onto this team, or I'm going to come into this company, and I'm going to make a 6-figure income. And I'll tell you, and I'm not talking necessarily to people on this call, because if you're on this call, you're probably very committed to training and development. Most people have no idea how to make even a 6-figure income. They don't know what they don't even know about how to make a 6-figure income. And what I'm going to show you now is how easy it can be to make a 6-figure income. And so, it's like, how can I make number? Nobody, we're salespeople. We want to be out talking to people. We want to be, we're emotional creatures. We don't want to talk about numbers. Look at how boring that thing is. I'm going to be working on it. Look how boring that looks. Oh my gosh, black and white lines on a page. That's not sexy. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you follow metrics, you want to be excited about life. You want to be excited about the potential you have in the next month and the next quarter and the next year. The excitement you're really going to develop, the real excitement that you're going to have is going to come from the metrics. It's not going to come from a book. It's not going to come from a seminar. It's not going to come from audio tapes or, self-actualization. It's not going to come from the lotus position sitting underneath a triangle structure in your living room. It's going to come from numbers if you are truly committed to this business. Because what makes me excited is winning and making money. So I know a lot of people that are super motivated all the time. They're back slapping and they're glad handing. They're always on, you just want to be around it. The energy is incredible and they're dead broke. So I'd rather be ultra committed to the numbers. And then, by the way, it's not just enough to know the numbers. I got to know what to do to achieve those numbers. So let me share my screen and start the slideshow. And right now, you all should be looking at my screen. So just wave if you can see my screen so I know I've got you. Good. All right. Using metrics to win. There's 2 pieces to the success puzzle. And let me tell you this. So going back to running sales teams, I was not ever in charge of motivating you as a member of my team. I wasn't the inspiration. When I'm running a sales team, these are the 2 things I focused on. Your metrics and your personal accountability, your ability to keep your word. So this week, we are going to talk about and focus on the metrics. Next week, if you are courageous enough to join me, we will talk about accountability. But we're going to focus on metrics this week because you need to know how to build a simple plan to win. So I love to keep it simple. Everything about my programs are very, very simple. And so, I look at how an agent invests time during their week. There are only 2 revenue generating activities. Now people think, no, there's 30 or 40 ways that we make money. Not if you're an agent and not if you're doing it right. And if you're focused on these 2 activities, you're making great money immediately. And the 2 activities I'm speaking of are setting appointments and running appointments. I wish it was more complicated than that, folks. But if you're an agent and you're trying to make money and you want to show others how to make money, these are the only revenue generating activities. Now, I'm not talking about Holly, who's an MVP who overrides a lot of people and makes great money. That's leverage. But when you're an agent, you don't have leverage yet. You don't have a big residual base. Your first $100,000 is going to come from you. So if you're relegated to believing that, it doesn't mean you're not going to recruit, but your first $100,000 has got to come from you. Because if you can do $100,000 and you follow our system, you can show somebody else how to do $100,000 and somebody else, and now you are a Holly or a Creekmore, or you're a Matt and Jason who only recruit. So I'm talking to you as an agent. Learn this business from the ground up. Learn it as an agent. There's only 2 revenue generating activities. By the way, there's 1,000 activities you do during the week, of which none of those make you any money. And there's a reason why people do those activities, and I'll explain that in a minute. But let's keep it simple. So am I doing these things all week? Am I focused on setting appointments and running appointments? Or am I doing daytime trainings and networking events and mindset and coffees and all the other things that distract me from doing these two things? Again, there's a reason why people do those things. I'm not saying that you don't do some of that, you don't do a lot of that, but there's a reason most people do those activities. We'll explore shortly. So, second appointments. Again, keep it simple. There's only a finite amount of ways to set appointments. You got a phone call, you can email, you can text. This is today's world. If you are following the plan and you're looking at what's going on in this company, we are having already on July 22nd, the best July we've had in the history of the company, right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. The lowest number, if I look at the submitted business report for July, the lowest number between applications, flow, transfer, and life insurance, the lowest increase is 44%. Life insurance, we are 100% increase. I put the numbers in the Slack channel yesterday for the executive leadership and no one can believe it. We're up 100% in life insurance over last year in the middle of a pandemic. You know why? Because we're not getting kicked out of schools, we're not walking halls, we're not living in the fear-based, face-to-face marketing programs that we used to do. Because you know why a lot of agents quit? They were too scared to go walk the halls. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. You also have Para. So Para, you can look at Para as Para sends the email for you and sets the appointment for you. So these are the ways you set an appointment. These are revenue generating activities. Stay with me. Running appointments. So let's keep it simple. Let's keep it finite. You have to know and you have to be able to do a first appointment. What's the purpose of a first appointment? To uncover pain and to get referrals. What's the purpose of a second appointment? To fix the pain and to get referrals. And what's an annual review? Find new pain to fix and get referrals. So when you're running appointments, these are the only 3 appointments you can run in our business. You got to ask yourself, if I'm not running these, what am I doing? What is the purpose of me being in front of this person? When I am physically doing something, when I'm flapping my gums, when I'm engaged with another person, whether it's on Zoom or on the phone, what am I doing with them? There's only 2 things I should be doing with them: appointments or asking for referrals. So we're keeping it simple. What I love about this is these are the only presentations you need to learn, or the only presentations you need to teach a new agent. You need to teach them how to set an appointment. You need to know and to teach someone else how to run a first appointment. You need to be able to and show somebody else how to run a second appointment. And you need to show somebody and yourself know how to run an annual review. All of these, done correctly, are revenue generating activities. So when I'm running a sales team and we're having our weekly meeting and all that we'll discuss next week, only thing I want to know is how many revenue generating activities are you going to be doing this week? And they all know the answer to the T. And sometimes it's even fractional because they know what they need to do that week to hit their minimum revenue expectation. And those are the words that we actually use. More on that, stay with me. So types of appointments, you're talking to somebody that's a prospect or a lead or whatever you want to call it, but you got a prospect and you got a referral source, right? So, that's, if you're not talking to someone who you're trying to turn into a client, or you're not talking to a referral source, what else are you saying? So check yourself. What else are you saying? Now, maybe you have a special event. Maybe you're doing a seminar. Maybe you're doing something like that. That's fine. But when it comes to generating revenue, that seminar needs to direct you to doing these two types of things: talking to people about buying products and talking to people about getting referrals. And when your brain starts to narrow down and to fall into this channel, watch how protective you become of your time. Because you will start to recognize that, man, I'm doing this and this is not revenue generating. I'm doing this and I'm not making any money doing this. And we have a lot of very nice people who will take appointments and sit down with you as an agent, and these are uplines like that. They just want to hear, you got a personal problem. You want to tell somebody and they'll sit there and listen to you. I won't. Now, there's people on this call that know that very well about me. So I don't want to know. I don't get paid to listen to your personal problems. Doesn't mean I don't care about them. I care deeply about the people on my team. I love the people on my team. But they're high. I get an override to make them successful and hit their nut, not to buy into their problems. So when you're on my team and I'm your sales manager and you had a bad weekend, you got to go somewhere else. Because I'm going to show you how to make money this week. And I'll tell you what, whatever problem you had this weekend, there is a cure for it. It's called a $10,000 a month. And my job is to get you a $10,000 a month. So again, I'm not heartless or cold. I love people. But my revenue generating activity is to make you money. My revenue generating activity is to make you money. And that's what you are paying me to do. So what kind of a leader are you? What kind of a recruiter are you? Are you the type of person that is 100% committed to helping them make money? Are you going to buy into the excuses and the BS? So the magic number. Boy, this is a room divider here. Whenever I start a new sales team, man, I mean, you can really, when I put this up on the board, you can truly hear a pin drop. And I can just feel the heat. I can just absolutely feel the heat. The magic number, nothing happens until I know this. I can't do a darn thing for you unless I know this. And the sad part is, most people don't know. It's a simple question. I ask people, all right, so great, I start over here. I started with Lincoln Financial. They got 36 offices. They're down 40% in sales in 2007. And, okay, so I went to every office, man. I was on the road for 90 days, went to every office. How much money do you make every time somebody says yes? I mean, they thought I didn't understand the business. They didn't know I've been in the business for 30 years, right? But it doesn't work like that. What do you mean? Every time, somewhere, somebody has to take a pen and sign their name to say, I am going to buy something from you. Do you all agree to that? Yeah. When that happens, how much money do you make? Okay, well, that's a good question. Let me think about it. Here's what happens. Here's the answers I typically get in the very beginning, not next week, this week. So the next time I come back, it's a different answer, but here's what it typically looks like. These words I hear. Well, it's about, maybe I had somebody who is on this call who I asked this question and they said, well, between $200 and $500. Oh, okay. Between 200. So you want to build a plan where there's a 150% variance. You cannot build a plan. It is not between $200 and $500. It is a number down to the dollars and cents. And so it's okay because I can help them. But let's just admit it, I have no idea how much money I make. I have no idea how much money I make every time somebody says yes. And so here's why this is important. If I'm going to tell you, come to my house in Scottsdale. So you're going to drive. And I don't tell you the address, and there's nowhere to find that address. You're just going to start driving. That is not how you run a plan. In order to find my house, the first thing you're going to need is the address, correct? I mean, I'm not trying to oversimplify this, but this is how people build business plans. And I'll show you what happens when they build a business plan not knowing this one basic piece of information. If you don't know this, I'm going to tell you right now. If you do not know this, I'm talking to not people on this call, I'm talking to people that didn't make, the other 50 people that didn't make this call, who don't know this number, they are going to fail. They are never going to hit they're never going to achieve their true dreams and desires because they don't know the foundational brick on how to build a plan. They're building a house on a sand foundation. Sorry if I sound hard. Oh, but there's people out there that get, lucky. Or, well, I don't necessarily know that number, Don, but I make $100,000. If you knew that number, you'd be a millionaire. If you knew that number, don't tell me you make $100,000. No, that's great. That's wonderful because we have 740 agents that have submitted business this year, and we have 25 people on target to make $100,000. So whatever we're doing, we're not doing it right. because we all should be making $100,000. The reason we're not is because we don't know this one foundational number, because not knowing this daisy chains all the way down to how you run your business. It also did, I don't know how you can recruit somebody. If somebody comes on board and says, hey, well, how do I make $100,000? And you don't know how to make $100,000 other than, well, I just went out and did a lot of stuff. That is not a plan. You would never attract somebody like Chris Longworth or me with that plan. So you can get Uber drivers, but you're never going to get a Chris Longworth or me or a Holly or any of the many, many people on this call that already make a six-figure income. So I want to know really how to make $100,000 and make that in 12 to 16 months, how to cash flow it. So yes, hey, stay with me. I'm kind of on my little soapbox. Not knowing this number is a primary cause for failure in sales. And I can, if I had 10 hours, I could prove it to you over and over and over again. But just, take my word for this. If you don't know this, there is absolutely no way you could ever build a plan that works. You can never build a metrics plan to win without knowing this number. And it is not an estimate. For everybody on this call right now, I know your number. And if I don't know it, I can get it in 15 seconds in the back office. And I'll show you how to get that number. So how can you be motivated if you build a plan? How can you be motivated if you cannot build a plan that is achievable? So, again, I want to make $100,000. I want to make that in 12 to 16 months. Okay, I got to know how to break that down, because if I say I want to make $100,000 in 12 to 16 months, that's not how you build a plan. So you're already in a deep water start by saying I want to make $100,000. You're thinking the wrong way. We can fix that. So let's take a look at the company. Since January 1st of 2020, would you like to know, of all the 742 agents that have submitted business, do you want to know how much money we make on average every time somebody says yes as an agent? All of you nod your head yes. I'm not going to show you unless you all agree. Okay, I was going to show you anyway. I can only see 4 of you. All right. So this is just a giant number. So if you don't know, when you're coming on board, and I gotta build a plan for you as a sales leader. I know my number. My number is not going to be your number, but I need to put a stake in the ground somewhere. So watch this. Every time somebody says yes and signs their name to an application, with all the agents who have submitted business this year, per application, that application pays $1,278.20, what is that, 1 cent? I can't see that, it's covered up. So that is a real number. That number will change tomorrow. The number wasn't the same yesterday, but today, right before I got on this call, that is the real number. And there's the formula, there's the complicated, really technical formula for finding it. Commission paid divided by the applications submitted gives us that number. Now, if I'm talking to a new agent and they're at 50% and I need to build a plan and they want to know how to make $100,000, I'll probably cut that number in half and start with that number because they're a 50% agent, correct? Or I could use my number, but what I have to use if I'm going to build a plan with somebody that has never written a case with us is I have to use a real number, and I have to start somewhere, and it's not an estimate, it's a real number. I can look at what I did my first 6 months and say, oh, well, my first 6 months, as I was promoting from 50 to 70 to 90, my average commission, my average cash flow per application was $641. Then I can use that because I'm not going to recruit somebody who I think is going to do worse than me. Why would I waste my time? But the magic number is everything. Every piece of my plan that moves forward from here must begin with this number. Now, if you've written in one app and you made $421, your number is $421. That, like insurance, it gets more credible the longer and the more apps you write, obviously. But you have to start somewhere. Now, if you're brand new and you have not written an application, I would take this number you're looking at here and pretty much divide that by 2. This number is way higher than it was last year. So I'm going to give you some information how we're changing our business model. This number is way higher last year because we are selling a lot more life insurance than we did last year. We used to be a flow and sometimes a transfer and once in a while a life company. We are writing more life insurance now than we are writing transfer. So we're becoming a top life insurance writer. And folks, look what happens when you write life insurance. Your average ticket goes way up. So on flow, our average ticket is probably less than $300. Now, I know that number, I have it, I just don't know it right here in front of me. But when you start adding life insurance, my gosh, look what happens. It goes up 4 times. Transfer is a big, big money maker for us. And now that the economy is going to tank, it's going to tank. And listen to me, there could not be better news for us. Because people are going to need to move their money to safe harbors. They cannot afford anymore to be a middle-class person with money in the market. You need to go out there and say, everybody, come over. I'm setting appointments right now to move money to fixed index annuities. I know you laughed at them 2 years ago. And now they're going to be lined up out your door to move that money, that $400,000, from variable to fixed. And if they don't, they're going to get crushed. So the magic number is so important. So let's look at this. These are the top 5 agents as of July 20th. These are agents. These aren't AVPs or RVPs. These are agents. But look at the difference. These are the top 5. But look at the difference in the magic number. Laura Bella's #1 case count, and her average, every time somebody says yes, she makes $553.29. So you can look at the difference in the disparity between Andrew, who's the #1 cash flow agent right now, and the rest of them who are all, they're kind of bunched up at the top, but look at the difference. So, it really depends on your product mix. It depends on what you like to write. It depends on your market and your region. A lot of it depends on something, but eventually you will have your number and you will be able to build your number and your team based on your number. And your teammates that you recruit will have their number. So what's your magic number? So where do you find it? You find it in the back office. You go look at how many apps you're on. That's it. And how much cash flow you've done. And, it doesn't mean that's all you're going to do. That doesn't mean that's who you are. And that's not what you're going to be for the rest of your life. But I need this to build your plan. Because if I have this number and a couple of pieces of additional information, I can show you how to make $1 million a year as an agent. Now, you may be working your butt off, but I can show you how to make $1 million a year as an agent. And you can ask Jeff Ochoa and Vince Reyes and Lynn Reisinger and Lisa Capper and Kyle C. and all the people in 2009, right as I left corporate America, out of 300, not one person made under 100,000, and more than 25% made over $1 million by following this plan, doing the same thing you do. Going out and seeing people and writing insurance. So this is all we did. All different personality types, all different ages, different genders, different background, different culture. It didn't matter. All that mattered is that they were accountable to the plan and that the plan was viable. All they needed was to be accountable to the plan and that the plan was viable. In other words, they knew that if they did these things, this is what was going to happen. And it was going to be very, very predictable. So, here we are. We're starting our relationship. And I'm going to be your sales manager. And, we always focus on that sale. We never work on the process that got us to that sale. So now I'm going to show you how I motivated my sales team with 5 very simple numbers. And these numbers are numbers that you have, or if you don't have them, you need to really start tracking them closely. That's why we have a CRM. But let me show you something so simple. It's called the sales process or the sales funnel. And that's what I put up over here. And so, I want to know, okay, so I did my thing. I did my thing, and I don't know how, but I made a sale. I made my sale, and I made $1,000. Can you all see that okay? If you do, make me the presenter and you can see it better. I made a sale. I made $1,000. Y'all with me? So I did all this stuff. I don't really know what I did, but I did all this stuff and somebody bought. Okay, good. Okay, well, now to do that, so I got to go back over here and say, what is my first activity? All right, so before any of this ever happened, and let's say I'm not using Para, let's say I'm using Mozone. I'm going to use Mozone. So I'm going to make calls with Mozone. And a lot of you on here have done Mozone, and a lot of you had success. Some of you had more than others, right? But let's just go ahead and use Mozone. Well, that's the first activity. The first activity, the revenue generating activity, is not getting the list. It's not signing up for Mozone. Those are not revenue generating activities. A revenue generating activity is when you're physically doing something in relation to speaking to a client or trying to speak to a prospect or client. Does that make sense? Revenue generating activity is when you're communicating with a prospect or a client. So I'll make sure you really understand what that means. All that leads up to that signing up for something is not revenue generating. But okay, the first thing I have to do in Mozone is I have to make calls. And so I don't know anything about that. So I haven't gotten to my sale yet, but I got to make call. First thing I got to do is got to make call. I haven't sold anything. I just got my writing number and I just signed up for Mozone and I'm going to make calls. And so I did it and I followed the script, the great script that all these professionals that put that together did. You just follow the script. You didn't know anything, but you just followed the script and you made 50 calls. You didn't even get to your list, but you made 50 calls before you shut down and crawled into the fetal position under your desk. But here's what happened. You followed the script, you did okay, and you got 5 appointments. Great. You have no idea what to do, but you got 5 appointments. That's the next step. So from a call, the next logical thing that can happen that's revenue generating is you set appointments. Remember, setting appointments and running appointments. So you've set 5 appointments. I'm just using an example that's easy for me to do the math. So I set 5 appointments and okay, well, I'm going to go out and do them. What happened is I actually was able to run 4 first appointments. So I learned from my trainer how to run a first appointment and 1 didn't show up, but 4 did. So I set the appointment and then I ran the appointments. Remember, there's 2 revenue generating activities, setting appointments and running appointments. So I'm running them. And I did okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm brand new. But what happened is I got to go to do 2 seconds. So from the 4 first, 2 of them agreed to meet again. Wow, that's great. Doesn't matter if it's 1. It doesn't matter if it's 0. I can still build $1 million plan for you. But by the way, you and I are discussing this on Monday. This is what happened last week, and this is what you report to me. This is all I want to see is this. All I want to see is this. I don't want to see, well, the Starbucks card didn't work when I put in the number, but it's a 16-digit number, and I only have a 12-digit number because I cut off the beta. I don't want to hear that. This is all I want to see. Now, even though, Eric had to jump on and close for me, it's okay. I made $1,000 that week. By the way, this is a real scenario. This could be you, if you're brand new in the business, this could be you in your first week. And by the way, this ain't someone who's very busy, excuse my bad grammar. This person is running 5 appointments. But this could be you because, folks, if paper could talk, Krista says this all the time, if paper could talk, they wouldn't need us. The products sell themselves. If you do a good fact finder, which doesn't require any brain work at all, If you do a good fact finder, this is a real scenario. That if you're seeing 5 people, you're going to make at least one. So that's only a 20% closing ratio on a product that sells itself. If you have any moxie and you learn a little bit, right? And you actually put some effort into actually helping people to fear change because you went on the 60 Seconds to Yes program, it'd be 40% or 60%. But let's just, oh my God, I'm horrible. I'm only going to close 1 out of 5. This is a real scenario. Now, if you're at 90% and you're doing the company average, you're making $1,200, not $1,000. This isn't the motivating part, by the way. I mean, it should be, but it's not. Because I know what a lot of you are thinking. A lot of you are thinking, your brain has never left this area down here like, shit, I ain't making 50 calls. Shoot, I ain't making 50 calls. Edit that out. Watch what happens though, folks. This wouldn't motivate my guys. I'm not looking for this guy that's excited he made $1,000. I'm not looking for the woman that's, wow, that's great that she did a second appointment. What I want you to look at is how the math works backwards. You want to motivate somebody, deconstruct the number, deconstruct the money backwards. So if I look at this and I say, okay, Michelle Casti, thank you for submitting your plan. Thank you for submitting your actions from last week, your action plan. Let's take a look at it. I look at this, I go, hey, Michelle, you made $1,000. Well, let me see, you did 2 second appointments. How much money did you make for each second appointment? What are you talking about? I didn't make any money. No, you absolutely did. These are all revenue generating activities. Every one of these makes you money. So I'm going to ask you again. And she says, well, I guess I would divide 1,000 by 2, right? Yes. So Michelle, every time she ran a second appointment last week, she made $500. Every time she ran a second, so if this is her number and it's a year average, Michelle knows every time she does a second appointment, she makes $500. Oh, well, she's not done yet. She did 4 first appointments. How much money did Michelle make for every first appointment? Well, my gosh, Michelle made, every time she has met with somebody for the first time, she made $250. Because remember, she made $1,000 that week. And she did activities. She didn't just go walk up to somebody and just put an application in front of them and didn't say anything, and they signed the app and she made $1,000. She did stuff. Stuff moved. So every time Michelle did a first appointment, she made $250. That's a real number, folks. That's not, oh, well, let's just make it up. That's a real number because this was her weekly result. Your result is what happened. She's not done yet. She set 5 appointments. Well, every time she set an appointment, she made $200. Just for setting an appointment. That's not a fake number. It's a real number because her result was $1,000 for revenue generating activities. Here's the best part, and I'll show you why this is the most important part. Michelle, in her very first Mozone, never sold insurance in her entire life, just followed a simple plan. She sat with Holly, and Holly worked with her on her script, and she got some decent training, and she made 50 calls. She made 50 calls. Every time she dialed the phone, whether they answered or not, whether they told her to go take a flying leap, whether they said, don't ever call me again, or I'm calling the state's attorney general, the Department of Insurance, the SEC, FINRA, Interpol, don't ever call me again, or I will have you thrown in jail, she made $20. Why that is important is here. That's where all the fear lies. The fear lies, folks, in the first revenue generating activity. Otherwise, you would all be millionaires. So if I don't show Michelle how much money she made per phone call, that fear never goes away. There has to be something on that side of the scale, because I hate talking to strangers and I hate rejection. I hate walking halls. I hate doing door knocks or drop-ins or whatever they're called. So if you don't monetize that, every time you drive onto the campus, you made $444, whether they threw you out or not. If you don't monetize that, you remain afraid of those things. And unless you've got a super strong brain, you stay afraid until you quit the business. How do I know? Because 99% of the people quit this business. And they could have made money. Maybe they made some money. This is part of the accountability stuff we're going to talk about next week. But first of all, you need to show people that they have to monetize every step of the sales funnel. And folks, this is the whole funnel. If you are doing something that is not on, from a sale to a second to a first to the appointment itself, setting the appointment to the calls, if you're doing something different than that, then you are wasting your time. That sales funnel's got to be as tight as possible. That is it's not the least number of steps, because I know people that can close on the first appointment sometimes. But it can't be much bigger than that. So when I can show people that the thing they're most afraid of, they make money doing it, it changes their subconscious mind forever. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, not everybody's afraid of calls. Somewhere up here, though, is their fear factor. I'm not afraid of calls. Man, that first appointment, I'm terrified. I'm meeting a stranger. Man, that's, that's not my thing. I want to make money, but it's not my jam to talk to strangers. I get that. Doesn't matter. One of these steps keeping you from making $100,000 plus, one of these steps creates a fear factor. Maybe it's not you're afraid to talk to people. Maybe it's afraid that you just don't know what you're talking about and your skill sets aren't there. Everything that is wrong with you is fixable through training, not through mindset. I don't do mindset. I don't pump you up and tell you you can do it. I train you and you see yourself doing it. Does that make sense? Because there's a whole industry where people are paying all this money for mindset. And I say this in my book, I say this in my training. I've met these people. I met the people that provide these scam programs, and I met the people that sadly paid a lot of money for them, and nothing changed in their life because they weren't skilled in the basic steps of the sales funnel. It doesn't matter how what happens though is when you get all pumped up because you came out of Tony Robbins and you walked across hot coals, and Monday morning comes around and you get your head beat in on one of these steps, you start to think it's you. But I was fearless. Tony Robbins made me fearless. Well, you're fearless, but you don't know what you're doing up here. It's not going to make you successful. Being fearless without skills is just being annoying. Being fearless in front of a client without knowing what you're talking about not only raises defenses, you're just annoying. I'm talking to myself, guys, because in 1985, that was me. Because I was failing in every business, every venture, every sales venture I went in, and I was one of the first people in the Cow Palace in San Francisco to go see Tony Robbins, this young guy from Venice Beach, who was going to show me how to become fearless. And I'm going to walk out of there at 9 o'clock at night, walking on coals, and all my problems would be fixed. I was one of the first people to do it. And by the way, I thought it worked. I thought it worked until, 10 years later, I was still failing 10 years later. So I just didn't know what I was doing. And no one was teaching me, but it's still my fault. But we have a system here. We know how to do every one of these steps better than anybody in the industry, folks. There's no mystery. It's not up to you to learn how to make a phone call. We know the best scripts in the world. We know how to do the fact finder better than anybody in the world. We know how to present the solutions better than anybody in the world. We know how to get referrals better than anybody in the world. We know this. We absolutely know this. So we have to address within you or your team, we have to find out where's the sticking point here? Which one of these steps? Making calls, setting the closing. So not just making calls, am I converting those calls into appointments when people answer the phone? That's a skill. Am I conducting my first appointments effectively to move to the second appointment? That's a skill. And am I getting them to make decisions that are best for their family in the second appointment? That's a skill. But here's what I love about them. And sorry, they're not real high-level skills. It's not brain surgery, folks. It's a system. Not meaning you're not smart. Doesn't mean that we're not great at what we do. We know all the products, but these are not high-level skills. Getting somebody through fear of change, when if they don't fix the pain, it's going to lead to financial ruin, is not a high skill. Helping them recognize the pain if they don't change and presenting a remedy. And remember, the remedy doesn't cost them a penny. The money is already there. Getting them to take the remedy, to take the medicine to fix the pain is not a hard skill. And yet, 99% of the people will fail in this business, and 90% of the agents in this company struggle every single week. Some hang on, they're hanging on to that bucking bronco, they won't let go of that rope. They'll hang on to it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but they never materialize any wealth. And it's all on this page here. Everything that's right for those that do it well, and everything that's wrong for those that struggle is all on this little black and white page. So I've got a very detailed document that I have people fill out when they want to build a plan, but let's take a look at just the basic plan over here. Like, okay, so, number one is I had to change my mindset. I don't want to make or need to make $100,000 a year. What I need to do is I need to take everything and turn it into a weekly plan. So I don't want to make $100,000 a year. I need to make $2,000 a week. Everything now is done weekly because a month is too long. If you are off course, 10% of the year is gone. Everything has to be done weekly. Why? Because if I'm running you and as a sales leader, I say I like to call 911 when I smell smoke, not when the house burns down. And a month, the house is burned down. Because you had 164 hours of bad habits. And you only need 28 hours of good habits, but now I've got 164 bad habits, and it's too late to untwist that. So I need to know every week, and you need to know every week where you stand. So the good news is I don't need $100,000. I just need a run rate. The minute I make, here's what I love about this. Oh my gosh, it's so motivating. I want you to think about this. The minute I make $2,000 a week, I'm a six-figure run rate earner. I'm run rating a six-figure income. So I don't need to, everybody always looks back at how much money they've made. It's not motivating. You got to look forward. You got to put a place card in the road that says, I need to hit $2,000. I got to hit $500, $750, $1,500, $2,000. I put that place card in the road three or 4 weeks down the road because I know how much I'm going to increase every week. And I need to hit $2,000 a week. And then I can, with integrity, say I'm a six-figure income earner. If you're always looking back, you have to wait a year or run rate 12 months, 16, 18, 20 months before you've made $100,000 in 12 months. And now you don't feel like a six-figure income earner even though you made $2,000 in your 7th week. You're looking for $2,000 a week and you are a six-figure income earner. Because if you can do it once, you can do it twice. If you can do it twice, you can make a habit out of it. And here's what's great about that. You know exactly what you did to hit $2,000 because you have a metrics-based plan. It wasn't accidental. Now, I haven't shown you that yet, but I'm showing that if you and I have been working together for a month and you're on my sales team, you knew exactly what you did to hit $2,000. It was not a mystery. All right, so I need to make $2,000 a week, and all the numbers are there. So if I look at Michelle's numbers up here, Michelle did 1,000 and she had 2 seconds. So if she wants to make 2,000, she needs 4 second appointments. Look how easy that math is. She knows exactly what she needs to do now. After 1 week of Michelle actually going out and doing it, Michelle knows exactly what she needs to do to make a 6-figure income. It didn't take her 6 months to figure it out. I'm really shouting, aren't I? I feel like this microphone is like overdrive right now. I get excited about this. Okay, well, look at the math. So Michelle needs $2,000 a week. She needs to run rate that. She was already halfway there last week. So she knows, okay, just if I don't do anything different, I don't get any better or worse. Listen, if I don't do anything different, if I don't get better or worse, and by the way, you only always get better. But let's just assume I'm not going to assume she's going to get better. Let's just say Michelle stays exactly like she is when she did this last week. I don't know if she got lucky. Maybe she did. I don't know. We don't really know yet. It's only been 1 week. But let's just say she doesn't do anything different except go for $2,000. All she has to do is double all these numbers. Okay, so she did 4 second appointments. She did 2 seconds, so she needs to do 4. She did 4. She needs 8 first appointments. Great, okay. And she had 5 appointments, so 80% showed up. So she had 4 first appointments out of 5, right? So she needs to do that. So she needs, 10 appointments set. She's got to set 10 appointments. And if she was able to make 5 appointments of 50 calls, she needs 100 calls, and she's still going to make $20 for every one of those calls. No mystery. So now there's no mystery. The numbers aren't always perfect like that. But guess what? She knows a hell of a lot more about her this week than she did last week. And all those people that quit never knew any of this. They don't know why they failed. But here's what I know about Michelle. Now we're going to see if she is willing or unwilling. And as a leader, I need to know that. There's 2 types of people you are going to deal with, and you're one of these people in any aspect of your life. When faced with knowing what to do, so right now, Michelle knows I need 100 calls to get 10 appointments, to get 8 first, to do 4 seconds, to make $2,000. Now we're going to see either she can't do it, or she can, or she won't do it. So the 2 types of people are can or can't. That's one person. If I can do it, I did it. If I can't do it, I need help. But I'll know that. The next Monday, on Monday, the beginning of week 3, I will know exactly what Michelle needs. I know exactly what type of person. It didn't take me 90 days, or never, in cases of most agents, you never know what's wrong with them. On the 11th day of her and I working together, I know everything I need to know about what it takes to make her successful. Everything. There's nothing else. I don't know what happened this weekend. I don't know if her cat died. I don't know nothing. And she knows better than even bring it up to me. But I do know how to make her $100,000, and so does she. So she goes out and does it. She goes out and she does the actions, but she only makes $1,200. So she did this plan, but instead of $2,000, she made $1,200, okay? Remember, this is the 2nd week she's working on my team. Did she fail? No. Why didn't she fail? Because she took the action that was built into her plan. She made 100 calls. She got 11 appointments, but sometimes it didn't work out, but she did everything. She did those 100 calls. She kept her word. She's accountable. But look at what we've learned about her. When I look at that, I go, wait, she increased her activity, but really not her revenue? Well, she's having trouble closing. See, I know that on the 11th day, I know where to help her. And some people go their whole career and never know why that person failed. I'm 10 days in our relationship. I know exactly what her problem is. And here's the thing. She is a can't person. What does that mean? She's fixable. She wants to do it. I can't close very well. I can help her. Now, if week 2, Michelle did 40 calls, less than she did before, and all these numbers collapsed, she's a won't person. She's already done 50, so I know she's got it in her. So does that tell me a lot about Michelle? If she's a won't person, you're not Michelle. You are very much a can't or can't person. So, but if she doesn't do what the plan says to hit her nut, that tells me a lot about that person as well. So won't is a disciplinary action. Won't is either you're going to be a can't or can next week, or you're going to be off the team. I don't drag won'ts around for 90 days, 6 months, or a year like most people in this company do. If you're a can't person, I will help you till I die. But if you're a won't person, you're off the team or you become a can't person. I know that in week 2. That's how you run a sales team, but that's how you run your business. You're gonna have to ask yourself, okay, if I do metrics-based plan, let me show you this god-awful document because I'm running a little late. So I'm gonna show you the document first. Let me share my screen here. So this is my planning document that I've been using since 2000, really. And I'm not going to go through it all with you, but what I want you to look at is look at this nightmare here. This is minimum revenue expectations. Every word we use changes how we think about things. We never on my team use the word goal. We never talk about goals. You can have goals, I have goals, but when we're running a sales team and you're on my team, we use minimum revenue expectation. That's because it changes how you think about things. And next week, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to work on your subconscious mind. But this is a tedious document that probably takes 4 or 5 times to complete for it to finish. But when it's done, there's your plan. There's your plan to win. And all this is here, guys, is what I just wrote up here in very simple format. But it puts it in detail, and these are your numbers, not my numbers. But we have to put a stake in the ground. You're going to be on my sales team. This is the first exercise we do. We do it together, and we agree to it. So,
where do they get this, Don? They want to know where they get the document.
You're going to get it from me if you dare to show up next week. You will get it from me. We're going to go through how to overcome your fears of whatever it is that you're afraid of. By the way, I don't care about spiders and snakes. I don't care about heights. I don't care about guns. I don't care about anything else. The only fears I'm going to work on are these fears right here. It's not always fear. Sometimes it's hesitation. What is hesitation? Sometimes I'm just lazy. That's okay. We can work on laziness and fear. The remedy is very similar for both. But that's what we're going to cover next week. So, let me see. There's like 40 questions in the chat. I don't know 40 things. Yeah, so I think the biggest question is where do I get that document, blah, blah, blah. A lot of you put your numbers in here. I love you guys. Kevin, Kirsten, Maria. Yes, Donna, yes. Donna, I know, knows her number. Don't ever question her. She knows that number like the back of her hand. Holly knows that number like the back of her hand. Pretty much anybody in Southern California knows that number like the back of their hand. Any other, if you want to unmute, quick questions. We've got about 2 minutes. So what we're going to do next week is we're going to do the second half of this. And this will be embedded into what we talk about next week. But what I would like you to do, if you haven't already done so, is to go to the 60 Seconds to Yes online training platform, which is free to you ungrateful people who never go on it. But if you go on there and you go through the red card conversation and learn and re-familiarize yourself with the subconscious brain and how it works, that'll make next week go a lot smoother for you. So go on to 60secondsyes.com. The login information is in the back office under agents, under training. But go in there and watch the red card conversation. There's, I think, 12 videos, but watch the first, I think it's 5 or 6. It's been a long time since I've been on my own site. But go watch before the first power tool, before the Soji, watch the first series of videos that dive into the subconscious mind. Is that cool? Because it's very relevant. Everything is relevant to what we're going to show next week. Any other questions? I love these numbers, folks.
Same time next week, same number, same call-in, Don?
Yes, I'm going to do a new Zoom link for next week. But yeah, I'll put that in the general email and on Slack, and I'll put that in there in the next day or so. So register again. Pretty much, though, if you have not been on this call, I probably don't want you on the next call. So you guys would obviously be welcome on the next call, but it'd be very hard for somebody new to just start in that call. It could happen, but they still have to do the homework. All right. Anything else? Thank you, guys. Love you. I'll see you all next week. Email me or text if you have questions, concerns, issues. Take care.
Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you.
Good info.
Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Me too.
Very cool.